That information is really important to know before seeing the show. Hi guys, what's up? My name is Chad Barnier and welcome back to my musical theatre YouTube channel, and welcome back to the introduction series. In this series, I introduce you to new musicals. Not necessarily new to the world, but something fresh that you might not have heard before. So it could be an old classic musical or it could be a new contemporary show. Either way, I find it sometimes helps to have a friend recommend you a new show, and I'd like to be that friend for you. But before we get started, if you like musical theatre and you want to see more videos just like this, then hit the subscribe button and the notification bell next to it, and you'll be updated every time I upload a new video. And in the comment section below, let me know what musical do you want me to introduce you to next. So in today's video, I'm going to be introducing you to the musical The Last 5 Years. So The Last 5 Years is a Jason Robert Brown musical, and it's about a simple, unassuming story of a relationship between two people, Jamie Wellerstein, who is a rising novelist, and Kathy Hyatt, who is kind of a struggling actor and singer, and their relationship and its eventual downfall. Now, that's not a spoiler. It's okay. The musical literally opens up on the end of their relationship and Kathy singing about the breakdown. So this show is a dramatic musical and explores the themes of artistic jealousy and relationships and kind of not being on the same page as someone else that you are in love with or that you are supposed to be connected to. And it uses a really clever narrative device to squeeze the most out of those themes and out of the characters while exploring those themes. So you'd be forgiven for thinking, why is a story that's so simple and like unspecial a musical? Musicals are usually a format reserved for stories with larger than life plots and stories and fictional characters. So the genius of this musical actually lies in committing to that simple story so that you can make way for complex storytelling. And it's a choice that could easily leave audiences confused. And if it's not done right, sometimes it does. I've mentioned this creative storytelling device a few times, so what is it? Essentially, The Last 5 Years is told in an alternating timeline. So Jamie's story and his series of events take place chronologically going forward, but Kathy's events and her side of the story take place in reverse. And then each scene jumps between each person and their story, so you have this back and forth. So at the start of the musical, you have Kathy's last song, followed by Jamie's first song, followed by Kathy's second last song, followed by Jamie's second song. Does that make sense? So they're essentially doing this, and they'll cross over in the middle, and then they'll continue back the other way. Not only is this quite clever, it's also something that's quite unique. We see it more in books and novels, and you might come across something like this in like a TV show because they've got the time to flesh out those ideas. And it also creates several opportunities for awesome character development, and it's the perfect marriage between storytelling device and story, because you could take that device of alternating timelines and put it on any story and it wouldn't work. Jason Robert Brown has been very intentional in how he's written it and dropped clues in Kathy's back timeline that we start to pick up in Jamie's forward timeline. So that information is really important to know before seeing the show. I saw a production of this recently and I knew about this beforehand and I thought it was obvious. But what I learned is that not everyone in the audience felt the same. They didn't know about the alternating timelines beforehand, and they were quite confused by how irrational some of the characters seemed to be throughout because they weren't on the same page. And as my friend Steven pointed out to me the other week, it's not explicitly in the text that there is an alternating timeline. It's not Back to the Future where the plot of the show is let's go back and forth in time, right? It's just a way to tell the story. So unless the production you're seeing really oversells it, it might not come across. And that's a hard line to walk because you don't want to spoon feed people. That takes away the fun of creativity, right? You don't want the whole point of the show to tell you about how the show has been told. You want to tell the story. So I really appreciated knowing about it before I saw the show. So one of my favorite things about this show is because Jamie and Kathy are telling stories in two different timelines at the same time, they technically never share a scene together. So they're on stage together, they inhabit the same space, but then they're always singing past each other. And because of this, technically all of their songs, except for one, is a solo. And that's why I think this storytelling technique is so perfectly in tune with this story. It's an incredible metaphor for two people that never seem to be on the same page. They might be in the same space, so the same house, the same relationship, whatever it might be, but they're never connecting. They're never talking to each other or with each other. They're talking past each other. Another cool thing about this format is the show literally opens on Kathy singing the song Still Hurting, which is all about their relationship breaking down and Jamie deciding to leave. Like I said, no spoilers there. It's literally the first song of the show. But what happens then is that the audience knows that they break up. You're not hanging on hoping that it works out, right? You're not hoping that their relationship comes back together. What you're left with then is trying to figure out why. So you watched this show picking up clues from Kathy's songs after the breakup and Jamie's songs before the breakup, going, ooh, is that why they broke up? Or is that why? Or is it a combination of the two? Or it's quite cool. So The Last 5 Years opened in Chicago in 2001 before playing off-Broadway at the Minetta Theater in 2002. Since then, it's had a really healthy life in revivals and local community theater groups. It even had a film release with Anna Kendrick starring as Kathy Hyatt and Jeremy Jordan, I know YouTube's favorite Jeremy Jordan, as Jamie Wellenstein. And since then, the show's kind of just become a bit of a cult hit. The Last 5 Years was my first ever experience of Jason Robert Brown's work. And since then, and still, I'm discovering just how amazing this guy is. He's up there with some of the best musical theater writers, and he's the most insane piano player of all time. This musical was inspired in part by Jason Robert Brown's own marriage and eventual divorce. His ex-partner actually sued him on the grounds that it too closely violated the non-disparagement and non-disclosure agreements that were settled upon in their divorce. Jason Robert Brown actually countersued for interference with his creative work, and as a part of the settlement in both cases, some of the characters were changed and some songs were added and removed, and now we have The Last 5 Years. Because there's only really 2 parts in this show, not many people have really had the opportunity to step into The Last 5 Years, but some of musical theatre's favorites have taken on the roles of Jamie and Kathy, including Norbert Leo Butz, Cherie Renee Scott, Anna Kendrick, Jeremy Jordan, Adam Cantor, Samantha Banks. The genre of this musical is interesting. The show itself is dramatic, but the music kind of blurs the lines between pop, rock, jazz, classical, Latin. I'd say you enjoy this musical if you liked movies like 500 Days of Summer or The Vow, and if you like musicals pretty much like Jason Robert Brown's other stuff. They're so thoughtfully composed that if you like one, you like them all, really. So like I mentioned at the start of the video, if you want me to introduce you to a musical that you might have heard about, but you don't know too much about, just let me know in the comments. This video was actually requested by Peggy Plays, so thank you so much, Peggy Plays, for requesting The Last 5 Years. If you're after some more musical intros, check out the playlist on the channel. And if you like musical theater, which I assume you do, because you made it to the end of this video, hit subscribe and let me know that you liked it by giving me a thumbs up, and I'll see you next time.